Joy is your essential nature. Forget the notion that you have to suffer to attain joy.
You do not need to earn her favor. You don't need to earn her favor. She wants us to be happy.
She doesn't judge you. If you have a judging God, maybe you need a new God.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Priestess at the Altar. This morning we're going to begin like we always do with a little brief meditation. Take some deep breaths. I'm going to do it with you. And if you're new to Priestess at the Altar, we begin every Priestess at the Altar this way. So that we can get centered and settle into our time here together. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, hold for a couple seconds, and then out through the mouth. Okay? Ready? Okay. Here we go. Let's do that again. One more time. And now we're really here, centered in our bodies, centered in our breaths. So now I'll say again, welcome to another episode of Priestess at the Altar. My name is Kelly. I am your priestess and the director of the Church of the Goddess. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you find meaning and inspiration in Priestess at the Altar, because that's what it's all about, and some connectivity for goddess worshipers to come together. Here is our opening prayer that we also do at the beginning of every Priestess at the Altar episode. Now that we're all breathing together, being together, because it is our love and our passion and our faith that brings us here, where we can spend just a little time to commune, to be still, to feel that life force of human connection, which also connects us to her. Just imagine for a moment a silver thread that connects everyone watching this video now, later today, later this week, at different times, in different places, all over the world. Excuse me. For we have been drawn together in the light and the peace and the love of the goddess. And together, we all say, Amen Dei. So, today's reading comes from the opera Omnia, which are the collated and collected writings of Lux Madriana, the first recorded sisterhood of the practice that we know today as Filianism and Deism. I've talked about Filianism and Deism in Priestess at the Altar before. If you would like to know more about Filianism and Deism, please visit mother-god.com, and there you can read all about Filianism and Deism. So this reading comes from Sister Julie, who was apparently one of the original Lux Madriana in the early, or rather late 70s, early 80s. That's the time frame that we've kind of nailed down with the history of Lux Madriana. And this is called Hail Inanna, How to Meet God in Your Heart. How to meet the goddess in your heart. You know that here we use the terms God and goddess rather interchangeably because there is only one goddess. Religion is a patriarchal invention. The special area of life set aside and designated religion would mean nothing to a person brought up in a traditional Madrian society. Unfortunately, we don't have that today. To such a person, her craft, with its deep inner meaning and ritual, is just as much religious as any rite in the temple. Her stories and songs, love and adventure, with their profound traditional symbolism of the soul's quest, are just as religious as hymns and sermons. We have the soundtrack of the Crows with us again this morning. Whenever I'm in this room and I have my windows open, they tend to join. I don't know. I like that. I hope that you guys like that too. And I know that you can hear them. But I digress. Spiritual truth is simply the meaning of life, the inner essence of everything said and done in a society which lives according to her law and harmony, laid down by Goddess herself from the beginning. It is only when a society breaks away from this rhythm that something called religion, as opposed to something else called ordinary life, emerges. It might be argued that religion involves faith, but in an aligned society, the acceptance of spiritual truth is no more a question of faith than the acceptance of gravity or the color blue. It is only when spiritual blindness sets in that this question of faith arises. We live in a dark age. Now, I just want to point out that it's very poignant. That's why I chose this reading, even though this is obviously from many years ago, but I think it's really relevant today because we are living in a bit of a dark age, as it were. We live in a dark age. Our eyes are darkened by the blindness of the darkening world. How can we unify our lives into that divine wholeness, which is the natural state of human existence? The answer is contemplation. If we can control our minds and fix them on she who is the source of all life, we will soon come to see the divine reality through all the outward appearances of the world. But that is far easier said than done. In these dark days, our minds are scattered among the illusions of the world of matter. It is harder for us to come to true contemplation than for any generation before us. That is not only because of the noise and scurry of the modern world, nor the false attitudes of fool's perspective conditioning into the mind, although these things do make it worse. Even people like myself, brought up in traditional matriarchal communities, largely cut off from these things, find it difficult. Can you imagine having been brought up this way? I hope that now is the time when those of you who have children are bringing them up this way. And I've read and heard from some women that is exactly what they're doing. They're teaching their children about the goddess from a very young age. The truth is that the very psychic substance of the world is becoming at once denser and more fragmented, like the heavier than lead elements, as the dark age draws to its conclusion. So what can we do? Most certainly, Inanna has not deserted us. She has given us a method suited to the conditions of the dark age by which we may come to her. A method simple and yet wonderfully effective. It consists in the repeated invocation of her name. Normally, our minds are a jumble of stray thoughts, half thoughts, and impressions, but the divine name descends through them like a pillar of light, organizing the entire soul about the reality which it represents. One may simply repeat the name Inanna, Inanna, or a longer phrase such as Hail Inanna, Princess of Heaven, Mistress and Queen of my heart. I love that, Mistress and Queen of my heart. But most usual is the simple repetition of Hail Inanna to a rhythmic chant, preferably to one of the traditional chant rhythms, but it can be to any rhythm that comes naturally. Many people suppose that the continual repetition of the same words must be a useless exercise, but they do not understand the power of the name. For the name, Inanna, is identical with Inanna herself. She is, so to speak, incarnate in her name. To meditate not with any rational thought, but simply to fix our minds upon the sound of her name will slowly bring us to know her. When a devotee repeats the name constantly in every spare moment, when the mind is not otherwise occupied, the repetition becomes automatic. It continues in waking and in sleeping. Even when she is thinking of something else, chant continues on as a background. Such a devotee comes truly to live with Inanna, to know her as a personal friend and companion. In danger, distress, or pain, when normal concentration is impossible, we can always chant the name and hold fast to Inanna. We can chant alone or together in groups, using the many beautiful chant rhythms that the tradition has given us. It may be accompanied with drums or other instruments. The important thing is always to listen closely to the sound of the words, for Inanna's name is identical with Inanna herself. This is the method by which she has chosen to give herself to us in the dark age. Our minds will wander, but the sound will always pull us back again after a little while. Inanna knows our weaknesses. She wants to help us by giving us a method that is easy for us. Chant is a rhythm, just as all life is a rhythm. The seasons, the moon, the day and night, the sacred rhythms of agriculture and of all the sacred crafts. Sometimes I have walked through the countryside chanting silently or just above my breath, and have seen through the beauty of the trees, the flowers, the clouds, the sky, into the beauty of she who creates and sustains them. She walks with me in the sound of her name, showing me the inner essence of her world. And when we, among those things which are against nature, the disharmonious artificialities of the modern world, oriented solely toward material ends and made by modern industry, which is the diabolical parody of true craft, then the name turning within us becomes a fortress and a gentle haven, protecting us from the assaults of Kala, I don't know what that is, and the metallic laughter of her chaotic world. That must be in the Filianist, Dayanist mythology. Sorry, I don't know what that is. I'll have to go look it up. When a person chants regularly and the chant becomes a part of her life, she will begin to notice subtle changes taking place in herself. She will become calmer and quieter, more able to concentrate, more cheerful, and above all, more compassionate and tender towards all creatures, human or otherwise. Inanna is the friend of all creatures. And as we become her friend, so we too begin to feel her divine serenity and compassion. A maid that I know once told, that's what they called themselves, they called them maids. A maid that I know once told me that if she does not chant either inwardly or outwardly for even a few hours, she feels lost and lonely. Inanna is her dearest friend, and without her, she is unhappy. Yet her love for her friends and relatives and all the members of her community on this earth has grown deeper and stronger than ever. This is what we should expect, for Inanna is the friend of friends, and all true love flows directly from her. In chanting her name, we are taking the hand of the love that she has offered to the world in the Dark Age. So, I guess what I want to say about this is, first of all, at the end of the episode, we're going to do this. We're going to do this chant. And then I want to know from you in the comments, right? You can, if you could leave comments, come back to this episode and leave comments on YouTube and tell me if this chant awoke something in you, if it made you remember something in you, and if it's working for you. So that is my request as your priestess, is for you to come back to this episode and leave comments and let me know if this chant is working for you. So first, I just want to say, Inanna is, as we know, one of many, many names for the goddess. However, based on archaeological and anthropological evidence, we know that Inanna is probably one of the first names that we have called this goddess of ours, who is both many named and nameless, right? But Inanna, just the word itself is I don't know, there's magic in words, right? We know that there's magic in words, and chanting, I have to say for myself, I mean, I spend a lot of time in meditation, but chanting is not a tool in my toolbox that I use frequently, and feel like after doing this episode that I probably should. Lately, I've done a lot of reading about sound and how, I mean, if you're on the internet at all, I'm sure that you know about things like different frequencies, like the solfeggio frequencies or binaural beats, or right, like these are things that you've heard of. And they've done all these scientific studies that sound really does change our brains. It creates new neural pathways. So based on that, it would only it only stands to reason that chanting has the same effect. And just as Sister Julie described, the more we chant, the more it becomes a background soundtrack to our lives. And it is rhythmic, right? Especially this particular name, Inanna. It is rhythmic. Try and use this chant and see where it gets you. And I am going to do the same thing. And right now, we're going to do it together for about I'm going to set a timer. No, I'm not going to set a timer. We're just going to do it for a few minutes. And then I trust that you will continue this practice on your own. If it suits you, all I can do as your priestess who really wants to spread and share the love of our goddess, right? It's what brings us all here. So these are only, they're only suggestions. Obviously, I can't tell you what to do, but chanting sounds like a good idea. And I am really struck by the irony of this reading and talking about the dark age, because we are certainly in a dark age. Although, keeping in line with my messages of hope, I really believe that what we are experiencing now is on the precipice of great change. But I guess we'll see, right? It remains to be seen. But I don't think you can have a world that's filled with this much chaos without it drastically changing at some point. I mean, that is the cycle of human history, right? Upheaval and peace, upheaval and peace, upheaval and peace. And we've been in the upheaval for years now. But I do think it's going to change. I don't know when, but change is on the horizon. And just as that kind of global change is on the horizon, I also really believe, and I've talked about this on this channel before, I really believe that part of the shift and the change that is coming is a return to goddess worship. And that's why we're here. That's why we have the Church of the Goddess. So we have a place to come together and worship her. But I think that is going to be more and more normalized as we move forward. And that, I don't know about you, but that's very exciting to me. I think that, she is here. She is so here. feel that, right? That she is so present in what's happening in the world now because she knows that we need her now. So, with that, let's do a little bit of chanting, and then I will send you on your way to your beautiful Sunday and whatever you have planned today and this week. And I'm gonna do this throughout the week too and see what happens for me. Okay. We should take a few other deep breaths and get yourself centered. We'll do this rhythmic chant together for just a little while and see how that feels. Inanna, 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 Inanna. I hope you're doing it with me. Inanna, 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 Inanna. Ooh, I feel that rhythm in my chest. Do you? Inanna, 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 Inanna. Feel that feeling of peace. I feel that feeling of peace wash over me. Do you feel it? The feeling of her and of her name and the power of the chant. That is what I hope for you this week. Chant, feel the rhythm that that rhythm is the rhythm that works for me. And find your own rhythm and start your own chant. As Sister Julie said, you can use a phrase, Hail Inanna, I forgot what it was, Mistress and Hail Inanna, Princess of Heaven, Mistress and Queen of my heart. Mistress and Queen of my heart. Or just Hail Inanna. You're gonna find your own thing. Find your own thing that works for you. Try some chanting this week. Work it into your daily meditation practice and see what happens. And I'm going to do the same. So go forth into your week and your Sunday. And as always, I wish you the love and the peace for a queen of Inanna, of the goddess. I wish you all of that.